What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. First and foremost, huge shout out to everybody who's joined the channel, who's hit the subscribe button as we surpassed our 100,000 subscriber mark yesterday. Absolutely humbling. Thank you to everybody for that. Being said, onwards and upwards. Join me Tuesday night. I said Monday on Friday night's live stream. I forgot that I'm going to a press event or a town hall for Rebel News in Edmonton on Monday. So join me Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central with Mrs. Fringe as we celebrate with our 100,000 subscriber live stream show. Honorable mentions out of the way. Let's get into today's story. A recount was done. This is why Alberta's wanting to separate. This is why Alberta is saying enough of Canada. We've already heard Mark Carney rumblings in politics saying that he was trying to convince some NDP MPs to cross the floor so he could have his majority government. Whether or not that reigns true or happens in the end, the deal nuts just got sweeter now. In the town of Terrebonne, Quebec, if you've been under a rock, if you've missed what's happened, a recount has gone underway. Now, recounts happen all the time in elections. I'm not going to say anything about ballot boxes or any crazy things like that, but there is a question going on with the integrity of our elections and why things happen. Apparently, the riding was flipped by one vote, one single vote after election. I want to break it down here as to why this is an issue. This tweet coming out saying the Bloc needs to take the Terrebonne recount to a higher court. A recount win by one vote guaranteed some off ballots were included. Carney said he didn't need to work with other parties. Did Elections Canada tell him not to worry? This stinks. So this is where, and it's not a question of election integrity. You now have people questioning the validity of our elections because of the way our government behaves, because of the overreach, the oversight. Here's this tweet here. Sorry for the fast scroll, but I wanted to cover this one because it breaks it down very nicely. Elections Canada finds 11 ballots. I noticed two things. 63 ballots reconsidered and 11 ballots were added to the count. May 1st, the total votes was 61,107, rejected ballots 903. May 10th, the total of votes 61,118, rejected ballots 840. So they reconsidered a total of 63, plus amazingly add 11 ballots from where? Were they lost in translation, lost and found again, like 822 in Coquitlam when we talk about what happened in British Columbia? Where did the 11 ballots come from? Liberals take it by one vote. You be the judge. Again, I'm not here to say one thing or the other because YouTube censorship, but it really begs the question of just what is going on in our government. When you look at scandals, when you look at funding, when you look at no charges being pressed against those in the House because of parliamentary privilege, it starts to beg the question as to what happened when you go for one single vote. Now, elections have done that before. We've seen ridings before where anomalies happen, where it's razor-thin margins. I've never seen a seat flipped in my life, at least that I've recorded in recent memory, of a riding going by one vote several days after an election, changing things radically for politicians. Liberals now have 170 seats, by the way, in the House of Commons. They're too shy of a majority government. This is all so that Mark Carney can say, well, we were given a majority mandate. Right? Two minority governments for the Liberals certainly doesn't look good. It shows that they're losing support. But do you brainwash people enough? And hey, we have a majority, actually, folks. You convince a couple of NDPs that, hey, you don't have party status, come on over to the Liberals. We'll give you good deals. We'll pad your pockets a little. This is why people in Alberta have said enough. This is why they want out. They don't want to, it has nothing to do with we hate Canada or we don't like Canada anymore. We're like the rest of the country. that have just said, look, we have an out, we want to take it because of this, because of the behavior. I've said it before in live streams, the government is the new form of the mafia. They're the new mob. Everything's in their favor. If Mark Carney gets 2 NDPs to cross the floor, buckle up. Everything he wants essentially can be passed, especially with the way Trudeau stacked the Senate. We're going to talk about Mark Carney's spending habits, by the way, because some rough things happened in the House with the Governor General. Again, things that make me question why this vote change happened. I'm not going to say it's rigged. I'm not going to say any of that stuff. But does it not seem a little coincidental that this happens? Let's go over the article, because this is CBC, by the way, covering this. So you're going to see them backing up. Oh, it's so good, isn't it? Mark Carney's getting a majority. We all get to keep our jobs. After a judicial recount, the Quebec riding of Terrebonne was flipped to the Liberals, who have beaten the Bloc by 1 vote. The result means the Liberals have 170 seats in the House of Commons, just too shy of a majority government. On Wednesday, Chief Electoral Officer of Canada Stéphane Perrault announced the judicial recount after results showed incumbent Bloc MP Natalie Sinclair Desang beat Liberal challenger Tatiana Auguste by 44 votes. Now Elections Canada's website shows Auguste receiving 23,352 votes. Sinclair Desang received 23,351. According to Canada's election rules, a recount is automatically triggered when a candidate wins by less than 0.1% of the overall vote in that riding, which again, that follows the rules. So I'm not making any accusations. But it says, which applied to Terrebonne in certain circumstances, candidates also can request a recount. The problem here is when votes magically are given the okay. You're not just counting. What should happen in a recount is that it should just be the votes that were accepted, in my opinion, that they magically find votes. It should be, sorry, the cutoff was here. If we discarded those votes, they're out. We're recounting the votes that were counted on election night. Because even if they're valid, even if scrutineers went through and said, oh, those should have been added to the pile, in my opinion, it should be, well, they should have, would have, could have, we made a mistake. However, these are the votes that were counted election night. These are the ones we recount. I don't care which party they go to. The problem now is when you see things like what we showed on Twitter, those are trending right now. So people are outraged. It raises up the questionability of our integrity in our elections. This is what pushes people not to vote when we have elections. And in some circumstances, it pushes people more to vote. It says the recount was conducted by the Superior Court of Quebec, Justice Daniele Turcotte. Terrebonne had originally been called for the Liberals the day after the votes were cast, but the riding flipped to the Bloc during the validation process, which is different from a recount. Validation is a procedure in which Elections Canada double checks and verifies the numbers reported on election night. So again, why are we introducing new votes? Results in 3 other ridings are currently being recounted. I wonder how those are going to go. Election Canada announced Friday that a recount will take place in Milton East, Halton Hills South, where the Liberal candidate edged to the Conservatives by 29 votes. That riding was initially declared for the Conservatives, but flipped to the Liberals after the validation process. A recount is also taking place in Newfoundland-Labrador riding of Terra Nova Peninsulas, where the Liberal candidate won by 12 votes. Again, let's secure those ridings for those guys, right? On Friday, a judge ordered a recount from another Ontario riding, Windsor, Takumish Lakeshore. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Where the Conservative candidate won by 77 votes. Where do you think that's going to go? 77 votes? Much like what we discussed on the Twitter post, a couple hundred votes were counted, 11 were brought back in. How do we think this is going to go? If they're allowing new votes to come in, how do we think this is going to go? Especially with Mark Carney 2 seats shy of a majority. Liberal candidate requested that recount, citing there were more than a dozen affidavits from scrutineers from his campaign who had witnessed ballots being rejected and they say were valid. This is British Columbia all over again. So again, I'm not talking about boxes going home. I'm not talking about bags of ballots or things like that. We're talking about proof from former elections in British Columbia where they found that there was a mishandling of votes, that there were shenanigans going on. Again, it begs to question the integrity of our elections. Even if all of this is 100% valid, you're sowing people's distrust in the government. The Liberals are now shy just 2 seats short of the 172 required for majority government, but even if all recounts turn out Liberal victories, the party will still be 1 short. Well, it's very simple again to get an NDP to cross the floor for a good deal. You're kind of hanging meat on a stick there, saying whoever's hungry, come on over. The other 3, yeah, you're out of a job. The recounts in Terra Nova and the Peninsulas and Milton East, Halton Hills South will begin next week. Windsor Lakeshore's recount will start on May 20th. Why so late? Why so late? Why are we going to wait over a week to start a recount? I don't understand. Again, I know other channels, Northern Perspective, those guys, they cover these things. I'm sure they have a valid explanation. I know that people look at this channel and say, well, you jumped the gun. But here's the thing. A lot of people are talking about this right now. And it's best to put it out there and have people asking the questions. Why is it taking so long? Why is it so coincidental that a riding wins by a singular vote? If everything's legal, if everything's legitimate, if there are no shenanigans, doesn't this beg the question that while those are questioning the integrity of their elections, that anytime I've said your vote matters and people say no, it doesn't, if this riding was truly lost by 1 vote, do people still think that's the case? Or is this why it's more definitive than ever that it's within your best interests, whether you believe it or not, to get out and vote when it comes to the elections? As we can see, it may result in whether or not Mark Carney holds a majority government. Let me know your thoughts down below on what happened. Give me your 2 cents. I'm not allowed to say certain things on this channel because of YouTube and their censors and everything else. So I have to form this in a question. What do you guys believe happened? What do you believe about the integrity of Canadian elections? Personally, it makes me question the validity of things, given what happened in British Columbia. Let me know what you guys think down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's continue building this amazing, incredible community. Hit your bell for all notifications so that you don't miss a beat whenever a video drops on the channel. Join us live. Again, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, for our 100,000 subscriber show. We're going to be doing giveaways. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time there with everybody. Make sure to join us for that live stream. If you're unable to, join me each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, as I'm joined again on those streams by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe, as we talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as back and forth within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos. I most importantly look forward to chatting with you each and every Friday night. But this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific again, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.